Good morning. I'm going to start today's prayer session with the Tablet of Ahmad. He is the King, the all-knowing, the wise. Lo, the nightingale of paradise singeth upon the twigs of the tree of eternity. With holy and sweet melodies, proclaiming to the sincere ones the glad tidings of the nearness of God. Calling the believers in the divine unity to the court of the presence of the generous one. Informing the severed ones of the message which hath been revealed by God, the King, the glorious, the peerless. Guiding the lovers to the seat of sanctity and to this resplendent beauty. Verily, this is that most great beauty foretold in the books of the messengers, through whom truth shall be distinguished from error, and the wisdom of every command shall be tested. Verily, he is the tree of life that bringeth forth the fruits of God, the exalted, the powerful, the great. O Ahmad, bear thou witness that verily he is God, and there is no God but him, the King, the Protector, the Incomparable, the Omnipotent, and that the one whom he hath sent forth by the name of Ali was the true one from God, to whose commands we are all conforming. Say, O people, be obedient to the ordinances of God, which have been enjoined in the Bayan by the glorious, the wise one. Verily, he is the King of the messengers, and his book is the mother book, did ye but know. Thus doth the nightingale utter his call unto you from this prison. He hath but to deliver this clear message. Whosoever desireth, let him turn aside from this counsel, and whosoever desireth, let him choose the path to his Lord. O people, if ye deny these verses, by what proof have ye believed in God? Produce it, O assemblage of false ones. Nay, by the one in whose hand is my soul. They are not and never shall be able to do this, even should they combine to assist one another. O Ahmad, forget not my bounties while I am absent. Remember my days during thy days, and my distress and banishment in this remote prison. And be thou so steadfast in my love that thy heart shall not waver, even if the swords of the enemies rain blows upon thee, and all the heavens and the earth arise against thee. Be thou as a flame of fire to mine enemies, and a river of life eternal to my loved ones. And be not of those who doubt. And if thou art overtaken by affliction in my path, or or degradation for my sake? Be not thou troubled thereby. Rely upon God, thy God, and the Lord of thy fathers. For the people are wandering in the paths of delusion, bereft of discernment to see God with their own eyes or hear his melody with their own ears. Thus have we found them, as thou also dost witness. Thus have their superstitions become veils between them and their own hearts, and kept them from the path of God, the exalted, the great. Be thou assured in thyself that verily he who turns away from this beauty hath also turned away from the messengers of the past, and showeth pride towards God from all eternity to all eternity. Learn well this tablet, O Ahmad. Chant it during thy days, and withhold not thyself therefrom. For verily God hath ordained for the one who chants it the reward of 100 martyrs and a service in both worlds. These favors have we bestowed upon thee as a bounty on our part and a mercy from our presence, that thou mayest be of those who are grateful. By God, should one who is in affliction or grief read this tablet with absolute sincerity, God will dispel his sadness, solve his difficulties, and remove his afflictions. Verily, he is the merciful, the compassionate. Praise be to God, the Lord of all the worlds. Okay, I'm going to say a prayer for protection by the Bab. Sorry about all this swallowing. This prayer was revealed in the form of a pentacle, a 5-pointed star, which is 5-pointed star is a symbol of man. In the name of God, the Lord of overpowering majesty, the all-compelling. Hallowed be the Lord, in whose hand is the source of dominion. He createth whatsoever he willeth, by his word of command be, and it is. His hath been the power of authority heretofore, and it shall remain his hereafter. He maketh victorious whomsoever he pleaseth, through the potency of his behest. He is in truth the powerful, the all-knowing. Unto him pertaineth all glory and majesty in the kingdoms of revelation and creation, and whatever lieth between them. Verily, he is the potent, the all-glorious. From everlasting he hath been the source of indomitable strength, and shall remain so unto everlasting. He is indeed the Lord of might and power. All the kingdoms of heaven and earth, and whatever is between them, are God's, and his power is supreme over all things. All the treasures of earth and heaven and everything between them are his, and his protection extendeth over all things. He is the creator of the heavens and the earth and whatever lieth between them, and he truly is a witness over all things. He is the Lord of reckoning for all that dwell in the heavens and the earth and whatever lieth between them, and truly God is swift to reckon. He setteth the measure, a sign to all who are in the heavens and the earth, and whatever is between them. Verily he is the supreme protector. He holdeth in his grasp the keys of heaven and earth, and of everything between them. At his own pleasure doth he bestow gifts, through the power of his command. Indeed, his grace encompasseth all, and he is the all-knowing. Say, God sufficeth unto me. He is the one who holdeth in his grasp the kingdom of all things, through the power of his hosts of heaven and earth, and of everything between them. He protecteth whomsoever among his servants he willeth. God in truth keepeth watch over all things. Immeasurably exalted art thou, O Lord. Protect us from what lieth in front of us and behind us, above our heads, on our right, on our left, below our feet, and every other side to which we are exposed. Verily, thy protection over all things is unfailing. And now I'm going to recite Abdu'l-Bahá's Tablet of Visitation. This prayer is recited at the shrine of Abdu'l-Bahá, and also in private prayer. It's used in private prayer. And Abdu'l-Bahá says, at the beginning, he says, "Whoso reciteth this prayer with lowliness and fervor will bring gladness and joy to the heart of this servant. It will be even as meeting him face to face." He is the all-glorious. O God, my God, lowly and tearful, I raise my suppliant hands to thee and cover my face in the dust of that threshold of thine, exalted above the knowledge of the learned and the praise of all that glorify thee. Graciously look upon thy servant, lowly and tearful, at thy door, and immerse him in the ocean of thine eternal grace. Lord, he is a poor and lowly servant of thine, enthralled and imploring thee, captive in thy hand, praying fervently to thee, in tears before thy face, calling to thee and beseeching thee, saying, O Lord my God, give me thy grace to serve thy loved ones. Strengthen me in my servitude to thee. Illumine my brow with the light of adoration in thy court of holiness and of prayer to thy kingdom of grandeur. Lord, help me to be selfless at the heavenly entrance of thy gate, and aid me to be detached from all things within thy holy precincts. Lord, give me to drink from the chalice of selflessness. With its robe clothe me, and in its ocean immerse me. Make me as dust in the pathway of thy loved ones, and grant that I may offer up my soul for the earth, ennobled by the footsteps of thy chosen ones in thy path, O Lord of glory in the highest. With this prayer doth thy servant call thee at dawntide, and in the night season. Fulfill his heart's desire, O Lord. Illumine his heart, gladden his bosom, kindle his light, that he may serve thy cause and thy servants. Thou art the bestower, the pitiful, the all-bountiful. The gracious, the merciful, the compassionate. Here's another prayer by Bahá'u'lláh. O God, and the God of all names, and maker of the heavens, I entreat thee by thy name, through which he who is the day spring of thy might and the dawning place of thy power hath been manifested, through which every solid thing hath been made to flow, and every dead corpse hath been quickened, and every moving spirit confirmed. I entreat thee to enable me to rid myself of all attachment to anyone but thee, and to serve thy cause, and to wish what thou didst wish through the power of thy sovereignty, and to perform what is the good pleasure of thy will. I beseech thee, moreover, O my God, to ordain for me what will make me rich enough to dispense with anyone save thee. Thou seest me, O my God, with my face turned towards thee, and my hands clinging to the cord of thy grace. Send down upon me thy mercy, and write down for me what thou hast written down for thy chosen ones. Powerful art thou to do what pleaseth thee. No God is there but thee, the ever-forgiving, the all-bountiful. Just gonna have a little more tea. It's really just so great to have you with me today, because for so many years I did this by myself, and I always wished that there were others that could join me in the morning during my prayer time, and now there is. And I'm so happy that you're here. Another prayer by Baha'u'lláh. I give praise to thee, O my God, that the fragrance of thy loving kindness hath enraptured me, and the gentle winds of thy mercy have inclined me in the direction of thy bountiful favors. Make me to quaff, O my Lord, from the fingers of thy bounteousness, the living waters, which have enabled everyone that hath partaken of them to rid himself of all attachment to anyone save thee, and to soar into the atmosphere of detachment from all thy creatures, and to fix his gaze upon thy loving providence and thy manifold gifts. Make me ready in all circumstances, O my Lord, to serve thee, and to set myself towards the adored sanctuary of thy revelation and of thy beauty. If it be thy pleasure, make me to grow as a tender herb in the meadows of thy grace, that the gentle winds of thy will may stir me up and bend me into conformity with thy pleasure, in such wise that my movement and my stillness may be wholly directed by thee. Thou art he by whose name the hidden secret was divulged, and the well-guarded name was revealed, and the seals of the sealed-up goblet were opened, shedding thereby its fragrance over all creation, whether of the past or of the future. He who was athirst, O my Lord, hath hasted to attain the living waters of thy grace, and the wretched creature hath yearned to immerse himself beneath the ocean of thy riches. I swear by thy glory, O Lord, the beloved of the world, and the desire of all them that have recognized thee, I am sore afflicted by the grief of my separation from thee. In the days when the day star of thy presence hath shed its radiance upon the people, write down then for me the recompense decreed for such as have gazed on thy face, and have by thy leave gained admittance into the court of thy throne, and have at thy bidding met thee face to face. I implore thee, O my Lord, by thy name, the splendors of which have encompassed the earth and the heavens, to enable me so to surrender my will to what thou hast decreed in thy tablets, that I may cease to discover within me any desire, except what thou didst desire, through the power of thy sovereignty, and any will, save what thou didst destine for me by thy will. Whither shall I turn, O my God, powerless as I am to discover any other way except the way thou didst set before thy chosen ones? All the atoms of the earth proclaim thee to be God, and testify that there is none other God besides thee. Thou hast from eternity been powerful to do what thou hast willed and to ordain what thou hast pleased. Do thou destine for me, O my God, what will set me at all times towards thee, and enable me to cleave continually to the court of thy grace, and to proclaim thy name, and to look for whatsoever may flow down from thy pen. I am poor and desolate, O my Lord. and thou art the all-possessing, the Most High. Have pity then upon me through the wonders of thy mercy, and send down upon me every moment of my life the things wherewith thou hast recreated the hearts of all thy creatures who have recognized thy unity, and of all thy people who are wholly devoted to thee. Thou verily art the Almighty, the most exalted, the all-knowing, the all-wise. Here's another one by Baha'u'lláh. O my Lord, make thy beauty to be my food, and thy presence my drink, and thy pleasure my hope, and praise of thee my action, and remembrance of thee my companion, and the power of thy sovereignty my succorer, and thy habitation my home, and my dwelling place, the seat thou hast sanctified from the limitations imposed upon them who are shut out as by a veil from thee. Thou art verily the Almighty, the all-glorious, the most powerful. And here's another one. Lauded be thy name, O Lord my God. I am thy servant, who hath laid hold on the cord of thy tender mercies, and clung to the hem of thy bounteousness. I entreat thee by thy name, whereby thou hast subjected all created things, both visible and invisible, and through which the breath that is life indeed was wafted over the entire creation, to strengthen me by thy power, which hath encompassed the heavens and the earth, to guard me from all sickness and tribulation. I bear witness that thou art the Lord of all names, and the ordainer of all that may please thee. There is none other God but thee, the Almighty, the all-knowing, the all-wise. Do thou ordain for me, O my Lord, what will profit me in every world of thy worlds. Supply me then with what thou hast written down for the chosen ones among thy creatures, whom neither the blame of the blamer, nor the clamor of the infidel, nor the estrangement of such as have withdrawn from thee, hath deterred from turning towards thee. Thou truly art the help in peril, through the power of thy sovereignty. No God is there save thee, the Almighty, the most powerful. Another one by Baha'u'lláh. O my God, the God of bounty and mercy, Thou art that King by whose commanding word the whole creation hath been called into being. And thou art that all-bountiful one, the doings of whose servants have never hindered him from showing forth his grace, nor have they frustrated the revelations of his bounty. Suffer this servant, I beseech thee, to attain unto that which is the cause of his salvation in every world of thy ones. Thou art verily the Almighty, the most powerful, the all-knowing, the all-wise. And here's one of my favorites. He is the prayer-hearing, prayer-answering God. By thy glory, O beloved one, thou giver of light to the world, the flames of separation have consumed me, and my waywardness hath melted my heart within me. I ask of thee by thy most great name, O thou the desire of the world and the well-beloved of mankind, to grant that the breeze of thine inspiration may sustain my soul, that thy wondrous voice may reach my ear, that my eyes may behold thy signs and thy light, as revealed in the manifestations of thy names and thine attributes. O thou within whose grasp are all things. Thou seest, O Lord my God, the tears of thy favored ones shed because of their separation from thee, and the fears of thy devoted ones in their remoteness from thy holy court. By thy power that swayeth all things, visible and invisible, it behooveth thy loved ones to shed tears of blood for that which hath befallen the faithful, at the hands of the wicked and the oppressors on the earth. Thou beholdest, O my God, how the ungodly have compassed thy cities and thy realms. I ask thee, by thy messengers and thy chosen ones, and by him whereby the standard of thy divine unity hath been implanted amidst thy servants, to shield them by thy bounty. Thou art verily the gracious, the all-bountiful. And again, I ask thee by the sweet showers of thy grace and the billows of the ocean of thy favor to ordain for thy saints that which shall solace their eyes and comfort their hearts. Lord, thou seest him that kneeleth, yearning to arise and serve thee. The dead calling for eternal life from the ocean of thy favor and craving to soar to the heavens of thy wealth. The stranger, longing for his home of glory neath the canopy of thy grace. The seeker, hastening by thy mercy to thy door of bounty. The sinful, turning to the ocean of forgiveness and pardon. By thy sovereignty, O thou who art glorified in the hearts of men, I have turned to thee, forsaking mine own will and desire, that thy holy will and pleasure may rule within me, and direct me according to that which the pen of thine eternal decree hath destined for me. This servant, O Lord, though helpless, turneth to the orb of thy power. Though abased, hasteneth under the day spring of glory, though needy, craveth the ocean of thy grace. I beseech thee by thy bounty and favor, cast him not away. Thou art verily the Almighty, the Pardoner, the Compassionate. I want to say that, first of all, I invite you to say hi. Secondly, if there's any pressing desires, I'm happy to pray for those, so you can submit them if you wish. And thirdly, anybody who wants to pray with me, just type it into your comments section, and I'll bring you on camera, and we can do this together. Right now, I'm going to read two prayers. Recite and read. One is Abdu'l-Bahá's prayer for the northeastern states. After having visited this country in 1912, Abdu'l-Bahá, for 9 months, he came and he spoke. He had been finally released from a 40-year imprisonment, and one of the first things he did was come to this country and speak to the poor, to the women's suffrage movement, in the churches, in the synagogues. Sometimes he spoke 3 times a day. He was 68 years old and broken in health from all of his years of imprisonment. And after returning to Haifa, he revealed prayers for different parts of this country, and one of them was for the northeastern states. And he asked us to recite these prayers every day. So that's what I try to do. So here's Abdu'l-Bahá's tablet for the northeastern states. O thou kind Lord, praise be unto thee, that thou hast shown us the highway of guidance, opened the doors of the kingdom, and manifested thyself through the Sun of reality. To the blind thou hast given sight, to the deaf thou hast granted hearing. Thou hast resuscitated the dead. Thou hast enriched the poor. Thou hast shown the way to those who have gone astray. Thou hast led those with parched lips to the fountain of guidance, and thou hast suffered the thirsty fish to reach the ocean of reality, and thou hast invited the wandering birds to the rose garden of grace. O thou Almighty, we are thy servants and thy poor ones. We are remote and yearn for thy presence, are athirst for the water of thy fountain, are ill, longing for thy healing. We are walking in thy path, and have no aim or hope save the diffusion of thy fragrance, so that all souls may raise the cry of, O God, guide us to the straight path. May their eyes be open to behold the light. May they be freed from the darkness of ignorance. May they gather around the lamp of thy guidance. May every portionless one receive a share, and may the deprived become the confidants of thy mysteries. O Almighty, look upon us with the glance of mercifulness. Grant us heavenly confirmation. Bestow upon us the breath of the Holy Spirit, so that we may be assisted in thy service. And like unto brilliant stars, shine in these regions with the light of thy guidance. Thou art the powerful, the mighty, the wise, and the seeing. Here is, so while Abdu'l-Baha was here in this country, he also revealed a prayer for America. And in this prayer, he talks about America being worthy of God's favors. And he also talks about our just government. And upon reflection, because it's really clear to all of us that there's a lot of injustice in our country. So I wondered, well, what does he mean by this? Because clearly he knew, he could see that, and that's reflected too in his prayer, but in a subtler way. And I realized that by calling our government just, what he was trying to say, I believe, was that our government gives a voice to the people, and I think he was praising us for that. Here's the prayer. O thou kind Lord, this gathering is turning to thee. These hearts are radiant with thy love. These minds and spirits are exhilarated by the message of thy glad tidings. O God, let this American democracy become glorious in spiritual degrees, even as it has aspired to material degrees, and render this just government victorious. Confirm this revered nation to upraise the standard of the oneness of humanity, to promulgate the most great peace, to become thereby most glorious and praiseworthy among all the nations of the world. O God, this American nation is worthy of thy favors and is deserving of thy mercy. Make it precious and near to thee through thy bounty and bestowal. And I think I'd like to say one of Abdu'l-Baha's prayers for humanity. O thou compassionate Lord, thou who art generous and able, we are servants of thine, sheltered beneath thy providence. Cast thy glance of favor upon us. Give light to our eyes, hearing to our ears, and understanding and love to our hearts. Render our souls joyous and happy through thy glad tidings. O Lord, point out to us the pathway of thy kingdom, and resuscitate all of us through the breaths of thy Holy Spirit. Bestow upon us life everlasting, and confer upon us never-ending honor. Unify mankind and illumine the world of humanity. May we all follow thy pathway, long for thy good pleasure, and seek the mysteries of thy kingdom. O God, unite us and connect our hearts with thine indissoluble bond. Verily, thou art the giver, thou art the kind one, and thou art the Almighty. And now, I'm going to finish reading from the tablet of Bahá'u'lláh called Words of Wisdom. I'm going to read the last few. Whoops. The source of all learning is the knowledge of God. Exalted be his glory. And this cannot be attained save through the knowledge of his divine manifestation. The essence of abasement is to pass out from under the shadow of the merciful and seek the shelter of the evil one. Which, by the way, is a reference to our selfish selves. The source of error is to disbelieve in the one true God, rely upon aught else but him, and flee from his decree. True loss is for him whose days have been spent in utter ignorance of his self. The essence of all that we have revealed for thee is justice, is for man to free himself from idle fancy and imitation, discern with the eye of oneness his glorious handiwork, and look into all things with a searching eye. Thus have we instructed thee, manifested unto thee words of wisdom, that thou mayest be thankful unto the Lord thy God, and glory therein amidst all peoples. And tomorrow we'll begin reading Baha'u'llah's Guidance for a True Seeker. And now I'm going to continue reading from the Summons of the Lord of Hosts. Oh, I keep forgetting. Comes out backwards. The Summons of the Lord of Hosts, a compilation of tablets by Baha'u'lláh, in which he addressed the kings and rulers of the world when he was a prisoner in Adrianople, which was his third banishment. He was banished 4 times. And this tablet, this particular tablet, the Suriy-i-Haykal, the place that I'm at in it is where he's addressing Nasir-ed-Din Shah, the Shah of Persia in the 1860s, who was responsible directly for his initial banishment from Persia or Tehran to Baghdad, and then was indirectly responsible for his 3 subsequent banishments. He's talking about how in this part of the letter, he's talking about how the leaders of religion, which was mostly the Muslim clergy, were bent on severe persecution of the Babi and Baha'i community, the Baha'i community. And he's appealing to the king to look into the situation with justice. And he's also giving the king advice on how to be a just sovereign and care for his poor and for his subjects. But here in this part, he's talking about how the clergy were the greatest persecutors, and how they teamed up with the government. And of course, that's the same story as the story of Christ and every other divine messenger who's ever come to the world. And it's true in this revelation as well. And now he's praying. He's saying some people have condemned Baha'u'lláh, some of the clergy, without really knowing, without having investigated, without having met him or spoken to him or have any direct knowledge. And he's urging them to find out for themselves instead of just listening to gossip and hearsay. And of course, the clergy were responsible for the people. So if the clergy pronounced judgment against Baha'u'lláh and his followers, then all the people followed, because that's the nature of reality. So he says, we beseech God to purge the hearts of certain divines from rancor and enmity, that they may look upon matters with an eye unbeclouded by contempt. May he raise them up unto so lofty a station that neither the attractions of the world nor the allurements of authority may deflect them from gazing upon the supreme horizon. In other words, God's manifestation and revelation for this day, Baha'u'lláh. And that neither worldly benefits nor carnal desires shall prevent them from attaining that day, whereon the mountains shall be reduced to dust. So that's a reference to Islamic prophecy. Though they now rejoice in the adversity that hath befallen us, soon shall come a day whereon they shall lament and weep. By my Lord, were I given the choice between, on the one hand, the wealth and opulence, the ease and comfort, the honor and glory which they enjoy, and on the other, the adversities and trials which are mine, I would unhesitatingly choose my present condition and would refuse to barter a single atom of these hardships for all that hath been created in the world of being. Now, he's not just talking. Baha'u'lláh came from one of the wealthiest families in Persia and one of the most powerful. His father was a minister in the court of the Shah. It was expected in those days that Baha'u'lláh would step into his father's shoes. They owned entire villages. They were fabulously rich. He left all of it. He left all of it to proclaim the cause of God. And he chose instead a life of 40 years of banishment and torment and torture and abasement and poverty and betrayal. So when he says he would not change an atom of his hardship for all the glory that they enjoy, he is telling the truth. And this is a beautiful, beautiful passage here. But for the tribulations that have touched me in the path of God, life would have held no sweetness for me, and mine existence would have profited me nothing. For them who are endued with discernment and whose eyes are fixed upon the sublime vision, it is no secret that I have been most of the days of my life, even as a slave, sitting under a sword, hanging on a thread, knowing not whether it would fall soon or late upon him. And yet, notwithstanding all this, we render thanks unto God, the Lord of the worlds, and yield him praise at all times and under all conditions. He verily standeth witness above all things. In this passage, Baha'u'lláh refers to the sublime vision. It really took me a long, long time to begin to understand some of the references in these writings. But at this point, I think that when he talks about the sublime vision, which is capitalized, I think he's talking about the fact that Baha'u'llah's revelation has been given because this is the time to usher in the age of peace on earth. That's what Baha'u'llah's revelation is about. All the prophecies of the past, no matter from which spiritual path or religion, have talked about this time. They've talked about the time of the end, the time of great tribulations. And they've talked about this time being a precursor to the age of the fulfillment of mankind, of the human race. And we Baha'i see that both literally and figuratively, in that we believe that, in fact, this world redeemer, whether you call him the Messiah or the return of Christ or the coming of the fifth Buddha or the return of Krishna or the return of white buffalo calf woman or the coming of the 12th Imam, whatever you call the world redeemer who has been described in different ways and by different names in all the world's religions, we believe that this is Baha'u'lláh, and that the teachings that he has brought are destined to become incorporated by us, human beings, and to be promulgated throughout the world and promoted, and that it is we who through these teachings will build the kingdom of God on earth, which seems to be within the next 1,000-year period, before the coming of the next manifestation, whom Baha'u'lláh said would not appear for another 1,000 years. That was like 150 years ago that he said that. So when he says the sublime vision, I think he's talking about the fact that all of the suffering that he is enduring, that he has endured in order to promote this cause, is so that humanity will finally learn to live in peace. And this is our destiny. And this is what we are asked to help build. I'm going to continue this tomorrow, and tomorrow we will actually finish the Suriy-i-Haykal. Boy, it's been a while. I don't know how long we've been doing this. I think it's been since October. So we'll finish this tablet, and then we'll start on the next tablet from the Summons of the Lord of Hosts, the Suriy-i-Haykal, and I think that's the tablet to the kings. So I wish you all a blessed good day. I hope that the Holy Spirit invades your heart today with great gladness and joy. I hope and I pray for all of us, including myself, that God gives us the strength to rise above our reactivity and our condemnation and judgment of others, and to be patient under all circumstances, and show love and kindness toward everyone who crosses our path. And it's a long journey. And I close with the Baha'i invocation. Ya Bahá'u'lláh, O thou glory of the most glorious.